300,000 years ago, Europe was no place for the weak. This was the domain of the Neanderthals, the Ice Age warriors. Their bodies were built like fortresses, with bones as strong as steel, and arms powerful enough to snap a deer's neck with their bare hands. They didn't just survive, they hunted, they dominated, and they adapted to the harshest environments Earth has ever forged. They built camps, crafted weapons with deadly precision, and hurled 2.5-meter-long spears straight through the hides of mammoths. They mastered fire, created tools, and even practiced burial rituals for their dead. These were not aimless wanderers. They were survival masters. But the Neanderthals were not the beginning. Before them, there was another species, larger, stronger, more mysterious. They laid the foundation for everything and then vanished. Were they truly extinct, or do they still slumber beneath the deep ice? Step back 300,000 years into a world where Ice Age warriors emerged from the shadows, challenged nature, and wrote the first chapter of human history. The steppe mammoth, Mammothus trogontherii, was one of the largest creatures of this era, standing 4 to 4.5 meters tall at the shoulders and weighing 6 to 10 tons. It was even bigger than today's African elephants. Its 4 to 5 meter long tusks were not just weapons for battle, but essential tools for digging through snow and ice in search of food. A single mammoth could consume 200 to 300 kilograms of food daily, meaning it required vast territories to survive. For the Proto-Neanderthal, mammoths were more than just a source of meat and hides. They were a treasure trove of resources. Their bones were used to build shelters and craft tools, proving invaluable to early human survival. Alongside the mammoth, the woolly rhinoceros, Stephanorhinus hematoicus, was another iconic Ice Age giant roaming Europe. These creatures measured 3.2 to 4 meters long, stood 2 meters tall, and weighed 2 to 3 tons, about the size of a large SUV. Unlike modern rhinos, their horns were shorter, but incredibly tough, capable of fending off even the deadliest predators. They fed primarily on grass and low shrubs, but during winter, they had to dig through snow to find sustenance. Hunting such a beast required skill, teamwork, and the strategic coordination of an entire Proto-Neanderthal home. Meanwhile, the giant deer, Megaloceros giganteus, was one of the largest deer species to have ever lived, standing 2.1 meters at the shoulders. Its full height, including its massive antlers, could reach 3.5 meters. Its antlers spanned 3 to 3.6 meters across, each weighing up to 40 kilograms, creating an awe-inspiring sight across the European plains. This massive deer primarily fed on grass and leaves, and was likely a crucial food source for Proto-Neanderthal. These colossal beasts shaped a brutal ecosystem where only the strongest could survive. And within this harsh world, a new kind of human was rising. Around 300,000 years ago, a supernova exploded 550 light years from Earth, unleashing a dazzling light that illuminated the sky for months. This cosmic event may have triggered subtle yet significant climate changes, altering the ecosystem of Ice Age Europe. The night sky was no longer dark, but eerily bright, its glow reflecting off glaciers and frozen rivers. Did the Proto-Neanderthal perceive this celestial anomaly? Did it become part of their earliest myths and legends? Science has yet to uncover the answer, leaving us with a mystery lost in the depths of time. The identity of Proto-Neanderthal. Where did they come from? Proto-Neanderthal emerged between 600,000 and 300,000 years ago, but their exact identity remains a subject of debate. Some scientists believe they evolved from Homo heidelbergensis, a species that appeared 700,000 years ago, inhabiting Europe, Africa, and Western Asia. This species is considered a common ancestor of both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. However, an alternative theory suggests that Proto-Neanderthal were a distinct evolutionary branch. developing parallel to Homo sapiens, but eventually being replaced or absorbed into classic Neanderthal populations around 250,000 years ago. Fossil remains from Germany, Hungary, and Spain exhibit a mix of archaic and advanced traits, blurring the line between Proto-Neanderthal and true Neanderthals. There is still no scientific consensus on whether they should be classified as Neanderthals proper. Proto-Neanderthal possessed impressive physical traits that made them the dominant species of Ice Age Europe. Large skulls, 1,200 to 1,350 cubic centimeters, close to the brain volume of Homo sapiens, 1,300 to 1,500 cubic centimeters, but with a low forehead, large jawbones, and protruding cheekbones. Bones 25% thicker than those of modern humans, making them highly resistant to impact and suited for harsh environments. Average height of 1.75 to 1.85 meters, comparable to or even taller than contemporary Homo sapiens. Weight of 90 to 100 kilograms, most of which was dense muscle, granting them superior strength. Tremendous arm power. A single punch or club strike from a Proto-Neanderthal could shatter the jawbone of a Homo sapiens, equivalent to the force of a heavyweight boxer. Large teeth and jaws, adapted for crushing raw meat and hard food when fire was unavailable. Archaeological evidence from Bilsingsleben and Skåningen provides some of the clearest evidence of a Proto-Neanderthal settlement, dating back 370,000 to 320,000 years ago. Unlike temporary hunting camps, this site appears to be a seasonal base, where early humans organized their lives. Stone structures, 3 to 4 meters in diameter. Free circular arrangements of stones, likely the foundations of shelters, made from mammoth bones and wooden frames. Hundreds of charred wood fragments and burnt bones confirm that they used fire for warmth, cooking, and toolmaking. Advanced toolmaking. Over 1,600 stone tools, including hand axes, cutting knives, and scrapers. Some showing evidence of hafting, attaching stone blades to wooden handles, proving they crafted more sophisticated weapons. Animal bones with purposeful engravings suggest an early form of symbolism or ritualistic behavior, though this remains debated. These discoveries indicate that Proto-Neanderthal at Bilsingsleben were not just nomadic hunters, but structured societies with advanced survival strategies. Skåningen, Germany, the first evidence of long-range weapons. Skåningen is one of the most groundbreaking archaeological sites, offering the earliest proof of long-range weapons in human history. The Skåningen spears are the earliest evidence of long-range hunting weapons, proving that Proto-Neanderthal relied not just on brute strength, but on teamwork, tactics, and technology. They didn't just chase prey, they coordinated attacks, used terrain to their advantage, and perfected weaponry. This was a major leap in cognition, compared to Homo erectus, who primarily used close-range weapons. Findings from Bilsingsleben and Skåningen shatter the outdated view of Proto-Neanderthal as primitive, disorganized brutes. Instead, they were masters of survival, with advanced capabilities. Early architecture. They built shelters using stone, wood, and mammoth bones. Fire mastery. They controlled fire for cooking, warmth, and toolmaking. Long-range weaponry. They used spears for range combat, rather than relying solely on brute force. Group hunting tactics. They coordinated in teams to ambush large prey. Sophisticated toolmaking. They practiced hafting, using natural adhesives like birch tar to attach blades to wooden shafts. These discoveries suggest that Proto-Neanderthal were not just survivors of the Ice Age. They were engineers, strategists, and elite hunters. Did their technologies lay the groundwork for later Neanderthal advancements? Or were they part of a forgotten early civilization? Lost in the depths of prehistory, the mystery remains waiting to be uncovered. Not only were they exceptional hunters, but the Proto-Neanderthal at Skåningen also left behind traces of a much more organized way of life than than previously thought. Scientists have discovered evidence of long-term hunting camps, where tools for making clothing and processing organic materials were found. Worn stone fragments suggest they were used to cut animal hides and soften leather, indicating that these early humans may have created garments suited for harsh climates, rather than merely draping animal skins over their bodies. Traces of fire and burnt charcoal were also found in the area, proving that they used fire regularly and in a controlled manner, not just for cooking, but possibly for processing materials, making tools, or heating their hunting camps. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Proto-Neanderthal is whether they were truly the ancestors of the Neanderthals. Fossils from Skåningen, Billingsleben, and Attapulgite display intermediate traits, both primitive and advanced. This has led to two main hypotheses. Proto-Neanderthal were the direct ancestors of Neanderthals, with a gradual evolutionary process occurring between 250,000 and 200,000 years ago. According to this theory, traits such as a larger skull, a robust physique, and adaptations to cold climates became more pronounced over time, eventually forming the classic Neanderthal anatomy. Proto-Neanderthal were a separate branch that coexisted with, but was eventually replaced by a more advanced human group. This replacement could have been driven by resource competition, environmental changes, or even interbreeding with early Neanderthal populations. Current genetic evidence has yet to confirm either hypothesis definitively. DNA analyses from later Neanderthals show some differences from the earliest Proto-Neanderthal fossils, but gaps in the fossil record leave the question unresolved. The Heidelbergian era, 600,000 to 300,000 years ago, it was the turning point where everything changed. This was the era when Homo heidelbergensis split into two branches, one evolving into the powerful Neanderthals of Europe, the other giving rise to Homo sapiens, the species that would ultimately rewrite the fate of Earth. Proto-Neanderthal were the crucial link, the pioneers who mastered hunting, harnessed fire, crafted weapons, and organized their societies, laying the foundation for the rise of modern humans. The discoveries at Billingsleben and Skåningen shattered the old perception that they were mere savages. They did not wander aimlessly through the Ice Age. They were warriors. Their spears were engineered as lethal weapons. Their tools showcased ingenuity and intelligence. Their hunting camps revealed a structured society where humans fought not just for survival, but for dominance. And yet they vanished. Did they evolve into Neanderthals? Or were they wiped out by a superior lineage? Did they truly step aside for those who came after? Or does a part of them still live within the human genome? These questions remain unanswered, perhaps forever buried beneath the ice. They once existed. They once ruled. But what really happened to them? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss more fascinating stories.